Hey, good afternoon, folks. Today we're going to be making some mead. Um, if you didn't know, I raise honeybees. I've got a couple hives, and we had a decent harvest this year, about 150 pounds out of one of the hives. The other hive is brand new. So let's make some mead. I've been making mead for about 6 years, thereabouts. All different types. The only one that I tend to duplicate is I make a burnt honey apple cider mead every October, and that's great, like the following Christmas. Really tasty stuff. But today we're going to make what's known as a trad, or a traditional. Okay, all that is honey, water, yeast, little nutrient, and the things that are involved with that. That's really it. It's a very simple way to do it. I've made one before, and it's actually aging in a bucket, and I'll show you later, and we'll check it out. But let's try this. So we're going to turn it around, and so this is just a set of ingredients. The most important thing with mead is honey. So here we have a bucket of honey. As you can see, this is a 5-gallon bucket. It's fresh out of my hives this spring. It's got a nice tangy wildflower type of flavor. It's very light. If you look at the wall there, the one on the right, that's a better symbolism, better picture. Whew, that was tough, right? A picture of what this bucket actually is. Okay, so we have 15 pounds of honey. Okay, and then there's spring water. I've got a funnel. Now this is just an oil funnel that I bought at the local car repair store. Cut off the nozzle so that way it fits my 5.5-gallon carboy. And that's got a CO valve on it with what's known as a bung or a stopper. Okay. The tube is to get our initial gravity. Now, alcohol by volume, otherwise known as ABV, is taken using this. This is a hydrometer. Okay, so you take the OG, or original gravity, and then you take the final gravity. And there's a formula online. I honestly don't have it memorized. And you enter the two numbers in the formula, and it tells you what your ABV is. The meads that I make have gone anywhere from just over 10% ABV to almost 19% ABV. Okay, so then we have got two types of yeast here. Both of these yeasts are like the Lalvin V1116 is a champagne yeast. It ferments dry, and it deals with a nice wide range of temperatures. So if you live in a climate where it could be, say, in the 70s at night, but up in the 90s during the day like I do here in New England, that's really good for you. The Mangrove Jack mead yeast is also just as quality of the Lalvin. Now I like the Mangrove Jack because it tends to produce a little bit more flavor out of my mead than the Lalvin. Mangrove Jack definitely produces a more full-bodied flavor. All yeasts are different. A lot of people swear by the Lalvin D47. I've never tried it, but different yeasts produce different esters and flavors and all sorts of stuff. It's really cool. But we're going to be using the Mangrove Jack today. Kick him to the curb. We got a thermometer and a measuring cup and a bowl. What that is that's where we're going to rehydrate the yeast. Now the Mangrove Jack, you can just sprinkle it right on your pot, and we may do that if the temperature range is appropriate. This was calling for a temperature range of 59 to 86 degree must, which is your combination of water and honey. We may be a little higher than that, but we may still just sprinkle it in. It might be the easier way to go. I usually rehydrate it, and I've never really had a problem. So anyways, this is the must. This is 15 pounds of honey mixed with 2 gallons of spring water. And this is just to melt the honey. That's all it is. Just melted honey and water. You're not boiling it. You're not trying to sanitize. You're not trying to pasteurize it. Nothing. Because if you boil it, you're going to ruin some of the flavors that are in that honey. Okay? I'm not sure why people boil their honey to make a mead. I know a lot of people have talked about it and how they bring it up to a boil and then they do this and then they do that. And I'm like, why kill the honey? I don't get it. Anyways, and that is about 80-degree water. We brought it up to a boil and dropped it down with ice. So that way, that's fine. So anyways, first thing what we have to do is you combine, like I said, you combine the honey with the water. Bring that, you melt it. You make sure the temp's okay. Now our temp is gonna read so we're reading almost 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So what we can do with that is I still have those other 2 gallons and I can combine that into here, or as I'll show you, we're going to take some of this out of here and pour it right into our carboy, which has been sanitized. Everything here has been sanitized. Okay, soapy water. You can use sanitizing agents. Bleach is a little tough because it doesn't play well. Okay, but everything here has been sanitized. So I'm going to put you on hold for a minute, and then I'll take you to the next step. Okay, so we poured it into the bucket. As you can see, we still have some space. Now when you do this, you can see all the air, and that's fine. You want to bring it up to about here. You still need what's called headspace. So basically this is going to form almost a raft on the top through the fermentation. You can kind of see the particles floating in it. That's all the yeast that we talked about. Okay, so we've already got the yeast in there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the gallon that I still have. You can see we still have some yeast in here, so I'm going to try and get the rest of the yeast out of here and into there, and then after we do that, I'm going to give it a good shake, get some air into it. I'm going to take my OG and we'll talk about that, and then we'll be good to go. Okay, be right back. Okay, there we have it. Hydrometer is in our tube like this, and our OG looks to be, there we go, 1.110, almost right on the nose. So that's fine. So I've got a log and I'll enter that. And there's our mead. Okay, you see how close it is to the top. Now whatever's left of this, we're gonna, sorry, put that back in. Okay, now that's that. This will go in our bucket, and on here we've got what we talked about earlier, the bung or the cork with the carbon dioxide valve. Okay, right like that. You can see how this valve has multiple parts. You have a cover, you have an inner. Okay, so it looks like that. And then this part will go here, and then the cover will go on. Like that. Okay. Now that is to let out any carbon dioxide, and also to keep it sanitary. So we're actually going to fill that with vodka to right about that line right there. You see how it says fill line? Right there. We're going to fill it with vodka to there. What that means is the popper in the bobber in the middle can still let the carbon dioxide out, but it doesn't go up high enough that any fruit flies or any other critters can get in. And yeah, it's harvest season, so we have a lot of tomatoes and that stuff downstairs, so we are getting a little bit of fruit flies now. So anyhow, we're going to fill that with vodka and we're good to go. So that's a trad, okay? Now I told you we were going to try a trad and see what it can turn into. So let me go grab that and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is the trad I already had going. You can see the bottom through it. The clarity is really nice. See how dark it is. That was used with some fall honey that I had. Now the fall honey is almost black, kind of like the lid that you see right there. It literally is that dark, okay? Whoops, screwed that up, didn't I? So, anyways, this is what it looks like right here. Crystal clear, beautiful. It's still got some aging to do. And turn it around. It's got a little life to it. Good flavor. It's a little hot. Hot meaning the alcohol content. Ooh, yeah. The alcohol needs to settle still. Okay. When somebody says they're brewing, but it's a little hot, that's what that means. Okay. So what we are drinking is this. Had this chilling in the fridge because there is the brewer's unwritten rule that when you brew, you must consume what you're brewing. So if you're brewing beer, make beer. Well, drink beer. If you're making wine, you drink wine. If you're making mead, you drink some mead. This mead is 14 months old. It is my vanilla blueberry rhubarb. It is, I believe, 14, I think it's just over 14% ABV. This, when you slurp it, you get the vanilla, you get the blueberry. The blueberry's a little tart in this one. And the rhubarb. Rhubarb is very tangy. So the longer you let this one sit, the better it's going to be. So, oh yeah, that's good. That's good. This one's really good cold. It's very crisp. You get a tanginess afterwards. You get nice blueberry in the front. And when you slurp it, you get that vanilla going up, kind of up your nose. That's really good. Now what we also have over here, sorry, this is the vodka we're going to put in the thing. What we have working here is this is a lemon mead that I made. And literally just about, oh, I don't know, just over a week ago, I hung in a bag blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, and blackberries. Okay, now that was just a lemon mead, and that was as light as that other one. And you can see the berries are giving all their color and flavor to that mead. Okay, so the traditional that we just made, the next step for that is we're going to let that sit for about 2 weeks. Okay, so we're going to let that sit for about 2 weeks until the fermentation starts to go down, until you start seeing, I'm going to cover this up, the trad, only because I don't want it sitting out. We're going to, like I was saying, we're going to let that one sit for 2 weeks until the fermentation starts to go down. When you start seeing that bobber in the middle, really just slow down and not do much. But what we'll do is once it slows down after 2 weeks, we're going to ladder in nutrients. What that is, yeast nutrient. Oh, you can't really read it because the print is backwards. Hadn't planned on that. Anyhow, 1 teaspoon every other day. Okay, so if I do it on a Monday, 1 teaspoon Monday, take your big carboy, you swirl it all in. Wednesday, same deal. Friday, same deal. Then let it sit at least a week. Okay, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to let it sit at least a week. So, and then when it's time to do our additions, similar to what the lemon was, okay, we're going to put in peaches. Now, my parents in New Hampshire have a peach tree. And I have frozen peaches from them. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the skins off of those. I might roast them to give it a nice roasted, caramelly kind of roasted peach flavor. Maybe grill some, just to give some different tones to it. And we're going to put some apricots in with it as well. And that apricots will bring out the peach notes. So it's going to be very peachy. And that's kind of what I want to do with this. Okay? So we have the trad going. We're resting that trad. That one's going. I still have one more carboy downstairs because you need to have a spare to be able to rack things off. Now, when you rack it off, it means you're removing it from the yeast. The yeast will form a cake in the very bottom. And you want to pull this stuff off. Otherwise, it gets a very bready type of flavor. Excuse me. So what we'll do is in about 3 weeks, you guys will see me again with this same mead, and we're going to go through steps there. Okay, now it's not going to show the laddering, but you need to know you need to ladder in nutrients, and what that does is that allows the yeast to reactivate, and you can get a little more ABV out of it. Okay, the goal for this one is about 15. We'll see where we end up. I don't use chemicals in here. Obviously, the yeast nutrient, it's kind of a chemical, but it's a nutrient. I don't use clarifying agents if I can help it. I had started to use some, but then I found out that it was it used chitosat in it, which is derived from shellfish. And most of the males in my family, except for me, and all my brothers and my dad are allergic to shellfish in a bad way. And my brother makes meat as well, and I like to share. So this is where we're at. Anyhow, so we're looking at a 1.110 ABV. Put it in the log. All the documentation's in, and we'll be good to go. All right, so I'll see y'all in about 3 weeks with the update and the next steps. Okay? Have a great day. Bye.